Hello everyone, welcome to my lecture on the topic Law of Demand. Law of Demand, here we are citing two definitions given by the economist, that is Robertson and Ferguson. First definition is, other things being equal, the lower the price at which a thing is offered, the more a man will be prepared to buy it. And the definition given by Ferguson is, the law of demand, the quantity demanded varies inversely with price. So the main essence of this law of demand is, this is one of the basic economic laws according to which the demand rises in response to a fall in prices while other factors remaining constant, such as consumer preferences and level of income of consumers. And the law of demand also represents a functional relationship between the price and the quantity demanded of a commodity or a service. The law states that the quantity demanded of a commodity increases with a fall in the price of the commodity. Demand increases with a fall in the price of the commodity and vice versa, while other factors remaining constant. What are the other factors here? The other factors other than price, what are the determinants, what we have studied in our previous lecture, right? So demand is a dependent variable while price is an independent variable. Now the demand function will be QD is equal to F of P, where QD is a quantity demanded, F is a function, P is the price. Now before we start the law of demand, learning about law of demand, let us find out certain assumptions which are made in order to make this law of demand a complete operatable. So the assumptions of the law of demand are, the first one is the income of the consumer remains constant, that is the income of the consumer should be remain constant. Taste and preferences of the customers, there should not be any change in the taste and preferences of the customers. The prices of the related goods should not be changed, and the population should be constant without any increase or decrease in the population. Consumer expectations do not change. Expectations, that is expectations of rise in the incomes or rise in the prices of the future, rise in prices of the customers should not be changed. That means there should not be any alteration in this, and there should not be any government policies, change the government policies, right? So under these assumptions, we tend to say that the law of demand holds good, right? So these are all the assumptions that are must and should when we study the law of demand, the operation of law of demand. So that is, when these aspects or when these assumptions or these factors or the determinants tend to change, there will not be a probable assessment of the change in the demand happening. The study of a change in the demand cannot be made possible to the better extent. So the law does not hold good if any of these factors tend to change. Operation of the law of demand. The law of demand explains that with every fall in the price of a particular product, its demand goes on increasing and vice versa. This holds good as long as other determinants of the demand don't change. Once there is a change in the other determinants, the law does not hold good. As simple as that. So this is a graphical representation of the demand curve with the schedule, demand schedule given here, and this is the graphical representation. Now this schedule explains us about the price at which the goods and services are made, at which a particular good or a service is made available with reference to its quantity of consumption, right? So these are the prices, different prices of the commodity, and these are the different quantities consumed at each change in the price. Now the same as the same this thing will be represented on the graph, where we are going to uh, represent quantity on the x-axis and price on the y-axis, right? Now all the values are plotted here against all the price and the quantities are mapped here. Let us assume, for a better understanding with the alphabetical notations here, let me make this as a P, this one as P1, this as P2, right? Now, when this is the actual price of the commodity, that is 3 rupees, the quantity consumed is 300 units. That is, let us mark this as Q here, right? Now, when there is an increase in the price from 3 to 5, you can observe the quantity consumed is being reduced to this particular level. Now let us assume this new quantity consumed when the price is increased as Q1, right? Similarly, if there is a decrease in the price happening here, that is from rupees 3 to 1, right? And this reduced price, we are denoting it as P2, and you can observe when the prices are falling down to 1 rupee, the quantity consumed from this level will be increased to here, to 500. Let us mark this point as Q2. Q2, right? So that there are notations. When the price is P, the quantity consumed is Q. When the price is P1, that is increased price, the quantity consumed is reduced here, that is denoted as Q1. When the prices are reduced to P2 level, the quantity consumed is increased to 500, that is increased level, that is we are denoting it as Q2, right? So the same explanation we have been writing in terms of a text here, right? So law of demand may be explained with the help of the following: demand schedule and demand curve, and all that what all have just now explained has been written here in this sentences, right? So the demand curve will be a sloping downwards, always sloping downwards from left to right. And one more important point here that is to be mentioned here: the demand curve can either be a straight line like this, or in some cases it will take as at the shape of a curve like this. Okay, so that is what is mentioned here. Demand curve will be sloping downwards from left to right. Now, as there are certain assumptions for this law of demand, there are certain exceptions also that are cited here. So these exceptions are nothing but where the law of demand doesn't hold good. There are certain exceptions that with a fall in price, the demand also falls, and there is an increase in the demand with an increase in the price. So it happening with the direct relationship. It will show a direct responsiveness, whereas actual according to the law of demand, there will be an inverse proportion between the price as well as the quantity demanded. In case of exceptions, demand curve shows an upward slope and referred as exceptional demand curve. That is what here it is displayed. Exceptional demand curve, the law of demand does not exist in the following cases. In cases of emergencies. Now, what happens in case of emergencies? The goods and services tend to be made available scarcely, or there will be a scarcity for goods and services. So, at that particular moment of time, the products may be quoted at a higher price, even though that they are made available at a higher price. Still, there will be a demand for that commodities, right? So that is in case of emergencies, and that too for a essential types of commodities which are necessary for survival. So this is a contrast to the actual situation. The expectations of future rise in the prices. That is, if a price of cars are expected to rise after 3 months, let us assume. So customers or the consumers will be planning to purchase that particular car at that moment of time without any changes in the prices happening. That is, at that given prices, the quantity consumed will be keeping on increasing. So without any change in the price, there is a sufficient amount of increase in the quantity of number of cars observed. So next one is prestigious goods versus Veblen goods. Now prestigious goods are also called as Veblen goods or luxurious goods. Basically, there are certain types of luxury goods which violates the law of demand. They indicate economic and social status of the owner. Consumers will be consuming them even when the price increases. The examples of we can talk about the luxurious cars, designer clothes. So to maintain the social status, even though the prices keep increasing, there will not be any change in the pattern of consumption or the quantity consumed in this regard. Next one is Giffen paradox. So Robert Giffen has given this particular, he has coined this term, that is Giffen paradox, otherwise called as inferior goods. So these inferior goods also tends to violate the law of demand because there are lack of close substitutes for the goods under this category. That is, the demand will be high even when the prices are higher in these cases. Basically, and the last one is ignorance of price changes by the consumers. Ignorance of price changes by the consumers. That is, if the consumer is not aware of the market trends or the prices of the goods he has been purchasing of late, he doesn't have any track of the change in the prices. So he tends to operate or he tends to buy the same amount of goods, or it can be increased in some cases also. So his unawareness can be leading to a reverse trend in the demand that is being created by him. So that is regarding ignorance of price changes on the consumer. So an exceptional demand curve will be taking up the shape like this. Similar as to the demand curve, quantity represented on the x-axis and price represented on the y-axis. Earlier, the demand curve, we have observed it from the sloping downwards from left to right, whereas here it will be sloping upwards from left to right. In case of the exceptional situations. With this, I'll end up the session here. Thank you.